let's have some fun with watercolours and clothes tags. Welcome to Hilltop View Journals. Today I've been playing with clothes tags again and also with a little bit of watercolour. So I'll show you what I've been doing, and I've been trying to keep the base of the tag as clear as I possibly can so that you can see it showing, and then I've just done some watercolours over the top. Some of them I've done some little fussy cuts there. This one then I fussy cut and added a little bit of fabric, and this has gone over some of the mixed media work we did a couple of weeks ago with tags. And again, I've just popped that on the back and added some scrappy bits of paper, and you can see the background colour of that one there. This one again, I've just used watercolour over the top, and then on this one you can see it's a black background, and then I've added some music paper and a little fussy cut. And here I've added some tissue paper and some music paper over the tag, put a fussy cut on, and then I've covered the back as well then with some fussy cuts, a little bit of fabric and scrappy music paper. This one again followed the same process, using the front with watercolour, and then the back, this is the colour of the tag, and then I've added a little fussy cut, and I've covered the emblem that was on the clothes tag there. This one's another watercolour, and I've covered the back then with some gessoed over packaging paper and a little fussy cut. And this one, I just finished it off with a couple of watercolour fussy cuts, and I've also used digital kits on here as well. So there's a couple of little watercolours there. So these have been loads of fun, so I thought we could have a little play today and make some of them. So I'll just grab my supplies and I'll be back in a jiffy. So you're going to need a piece of card or watercolour paper that you're happy using. Now, you don't have to have expensive watercolour paper, cheap watercolour paper, mixed media paper, or even some drawing paper. You'll get nice results. We're not painting a masterpiece, we're just having fun with a little bit of watercolour and just trying to improve our skills. So any type of decent sort of weight paper would be great. And then you want some tags. So I've got some tags here that some of them are already gone over with gesso, so I'm going to leave that side with gesso, and I'm going to cover these sides. This one I'll probably cover that side as well, and I think I'll try doing watercolour on this card over gesso. So not putting watercolour card on there, just doing the watercolours on there, and we'll give that a go. So I'm going to cover that, and then I've got this little piece here that I thought I could use as a page wrap, and I'll cover that with watercolour paper as well. And this one is like a transparent piece of plastic, and it was off one of the tags I've just shown you. If I put those tags, can't find them. Here we are. So it was off this one. It was like a two-piece there like that. So I'm going to get a piece of card on the back and then do something with that. So we'll keep that there. There's a couple of ways of doing this, as there always is. You can either trace around your tag, cut out the paper that you're using, do your doodles on it and then stick it on, or you can just go ahead, stick it on, cut it out and then doodle over it. Now that's the way I prefer to do it, because it's less work in my mind. So that's what I'm going to do. So I am going to trace this because it'll be easier to cut out. Let me just get a pencil. So all I'm going to do now is just cut these pieces of watercolour paper just to fit around these. So I'll maybe speed up the camera and not bore you to death with this part of the process, but it is important to see these parts of the process because they do take time, and if I edit them all out, then I'm kind of artificially giving you an idea of how quickly you think these things go, and they don't go that quick. So hoping that including these things is helpful. So on this one, I've gone slightly over the edge, and what I'll do is I'll tidy it up once the glue is dry, because when you fold this you want to leave that little bit there. And I guess you could, if you wanted to, you could put some nice fabric underneath, which I could do. Oh, there we go. So let's just put a bit of glue stick there. Around this edge. So you're better off cutting the card slightly too big, and then you can trim it. So I'm going to fold that in, pop that on. So when you put fabric on there, it's quite forgiving in terms of the edge as well. So that's probably a good idea to do that. Right, so I'm going to leave that dry before I try and cut it. You can see I've gone a little bit over the edge there. Let's trim these pieces off out the way for a minute. There we go. So that's that one. So I've done that one. Did I do another one? Possibly not. So I need to cut one for this. Yeah, so I haven't covered this one. So we're going to try and do watercolour on top of the gesso, and I covered all these. And don't worry, if you do make a mistake and you don't like what you've done on the watercolour card, you just put another piece on top, or you can gesso over the paint and do something else, or you can even stick fussy cuts. And that's an option to do for this project, is actually use fussy cuts instead of watercolours if you don't want to play with watercolours like I do. So I'm going to trim this up now because it should be dry. And now is the time to go and dig out some watercolour paint, because we will be using that shortly. And I find Pinterest is a really good place to find watercolour doodles. You can get lots of inspiration from Pinterest or Instagram, of course. And especially helpful when you can find watercolour doodle reels that actually show you how to do it. So there we go. So I'm just going to grab my watercolour paints and a little pot and a brush, and I'll be right back. So I've got a very cheap brush here. with an indistinct product name on it, and it's a number 5. And I've got a Paul Rubens paints in here, which I've created my own palette, and it's looking very messy, as you can see. And I'm just going to do some doodles and have a little bit of fun. So if I just rearrange myself here, so let's put my water. Okay, so I'm just going to do the same kind of doodles as I've done on the other ones, maybe just different colours. So this one I'm going to go and do some pinks. So let's start trying to arrange my desk so I'm not leaning over constantly. So let's go here and wet this a bit. I will eventually get a swatch card so I know what these colours are, but the colours, you know, it really doesn't matter, just use your favourite colours. And what shall I do on the first one? So I think the first one I'll copy this one I've done here. That's going to be my guide. So I'm going to do a colour. Let's do a flower down here. So it's going to be like a 5-petal flower. And here's going to be another one. Flower hiding behind the other. So they're just little doodles. And then put another little set of petals up here. So the space is limited on this card here, so I'm having to improvise a little bit, but that's okay. And then we've got like a set of buds up here, or 3 petals. And then we've got single petals going up here. And once you get the hang of doing something like this, then you can change the position of the petals so it looks different, but actually you're doing the same thing. Okay, and then I'm going to go in and do the green. So I've got quite a dark green here. I'm going to start up the top here. And then add more stems. And then I'm going to add the bases. Now I don't mind if they mingle, the paint. If you don't want that to happen, then wait for the paint to dry. And if you don't like it and it does happen, then what you can do is you can dab it with a bit of tissue paper. There we go. And then you can go back over with the main colour then. So I'll leave that for a second. And then do my leaves. I'll just pull this down a bit more. I'm going to press like that and then just lift up the brush. And I think I'll add a leaf there as well. Okay, so I want to do the middles of the flowers. So I'm going to use like a dark yellow. Yeah. And I'm going to wait for the green to dry. And then I'll add the pink back in there then. So that's one little flower doodle, which I think is a lot of fun. So I'll do this side now, and on this side what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint the petals in first with water. So if I get my bottom one here first, so I'm just going to drop some paint there like that. And there, so I don't think you probably won't be able to see this on the camera. And then I'm going to add my colour in. And I'm just going to put dots of colour on the end there. And then you can just help the paint move along the water. Okay, I'm going to do some more flowers. So again, just the 5 petals. If you get too much water, then dry your brush and then just seep some of the water off. But I quite like it with plenty of water. And drop your paint in. And watch it flow, and if you haven't got enough paint going on there, you can just add it in and encourage it to move around. Okay, so I'm going to leave all that dry. But I think this side is all right for me to add that colour back in. So let's just give that a go. I'm okay with that, so I'm going to carefully put these now to one side and let them dry. And so that was those flowers. Let's see what else we got here. So I'm going to try on this one. This is a gesso side, so I'm going to see what the watercolours look like on this, and I'm going to use maybe a blue. So let's just turn this around. And I'll do a little kind of forget-me-not kind of thing. And all these are just 4 dots. Just 4 little dots. I'm leaving a bit of room on the bottom there for the leaves. And then you can go back in and change the shape if you're not happy with the shape before the paint dries. Just want to make them a bit bigger. And then you can go in and do your stems. So I get the main stem first. Now with the gesso, it kind of doesn't let the paint absorb very well, but you'll still get a lot of fun painting on it. Let's do some big leaves. And I think it's fun to paint on gesso when you're wanting like a more abstract flowers. So you can leave the middles white, or you can put a colour in there. I'm going to let it dry before I do anything anyway, and then I can decide once they're dry. See what it looks like. You can add leaves in them where you got some space. There we are. So I'm going to leave that dry before I do anything else to it. So I haven't got much space on this one. So I'm going to do this side first, the watercolour side, and I'll just use a different colour, a different pinky colour. I'll do very simple 3 petals. And then go in with the green. There we are. Really, really simple flower. So this one's got gesso on the back, so I can do that one after. This one's got pink all over it. I made a mess, so I'm just going to draw my pink flowers. And what flowers shall I do? Oh, let's do this one, I think. Just, you can see the shapes are very, very similar. For all the flowers. You know, I'm not creating a masterpiece, I'm just having a bit of fun really. Just doodling and playing and seeing what shapes I like, what colours I like together. Okay, so I do want to add more to that, but I need to let those petals dry, but I can do the stems and leaves. So I want to come down here. Just go like that. And then let's do yeah. So I'm going to let that dry as well, leave that to one side. This one I'm going to do similar flower arrangement to what I did before, and I'm going to go with a nice yellowy colour. Now at this stage you should be cleaning your water. You're getting quite dirty. Sometimes when I do these flowers, I know I've gone out of shape already. I can tell on this one I've gone a bit skew-iff. I'm going to let this one dry before I do anything else to it as well. So I've emptied my jar of water, put some clean water in. Where my craft space is, I haven't got running water, so it can be awkward at times when you're doing a bit of painting. So on this one I'm going to do blue, and I'm just going to do lots of mess. I'm going to do similar to this one and use maybe some black ink as well. So let's have a look, what colours have I got here? Oh yeah, I like that one. So as you can see, I've used the same paintbrush throughout. So these ones are just 4. And the idea is just to paint some and then overlap them. And don't worry too much about the shape, because you're going to go over with black pen. Which will give you the definition of of the petals. So you can see the gesso is resisting a little bit. And then that just gives you more texture. And you don't have to do 4 petals everywhere. You can do some with just got 2. Or you can fill those up with the leaves. So how many more do I want? Maybe a little one here. And then I'll do the stem. So with the stems, you just really just put in a bit of green in just to make it look like you've got stems there. Okay, so I'm just going to leave that dry now. Then we can, let me just put another leaf there. We can then go in then and do the detail. It's hard to stop once you start. You think, oh, bit of a leaf there, and a leaf there, and a leaf there. Oh yeah, another leaf there, maybe. Before you know it, you've got leaves coming everywhere. Right, put it down, Stephanie, put it down. Okay, so I'll leave that to one side. Right, I want to go back into this one and add some more. So I'm trying to overlap the paint. Okay, you can let that dry. But I think what I might do with this one as well is do some splatters. So get the paintbrush nice and wet, and then just gently add some splatters there. So I still got space to paint on the other side as well, but that one now needs to dry. And this one, I was going to add the green in. But before I do that, I've forgotten to add something in this one. Now this one's still drying, as you can see here. And what I might do on this one while I'm there is I might just soak some of that up. And I've forgotten to add a little bud in here. Okay, so that's that. And then I'm going to put some colour in the middle of these ones. I'll go and do, I think I like this one. This is really pinky. do some pink splatters, I think. Okay, so that's that one needs to dry. And I want to go back to this one and see if you want to add some colour, and I think I will, to the middles. So I'm going to go with yellow, I think. Okay, so that's that. And finish these off now. I think I might go in a different colour in the middle of these ones. Let's do a... what do I want to do? Bright pink, I think. I can finish off the stems. I can see the green's gone in there, but I'm going to live with that. Okay, so I'm going to leave those like that. A bit oddly shaped, but I'm going to let that go. Is there anything else I can do? No, I think everything else is either wet. This one is still quite wet, so I'm going to leave that dry. This one, then that one is dry, but I'm just going to leave that nice and simple. And this one I'm going to leave to dry as well. This one's pretty much finished on that side, but I need to do the other side when that's dry. And again, this one, I need to be able to do the other side of that once it's dry. So I shall be back after a little bit of drying time. Everything's pretty much finished, but I've got a few little bits and pieces to finish off. So this one was on watercolour paper, and on the back I had gesso. So I've just put a light pink wash, and I was thinking of adding a little bird there. And what I thought I would also do is add some pretty fabric. So I've got that fabric there, and I've got some lace here I could use. If I just give that a little bit of a chop. So I could put that there. Not that. Pop that on there. Need something else as well. Shall we add some of this? Okay, so that's some of that on. I have inked around the edges as well of this. So you can see here I've just sort of grunged it up a little bit, which gives it a little bit, takes that whiteness away. Okay, pretty birdie. I think I'll use different glue for this. I think I got coal oil glue in this little pot. Yes, definitely smells like it. I think that would be better with the fabric as well. Doesn't want to glue. The tail's going to have to go as well. Sorry, birdie. Should have moved you more in the middle. Try and ignore the tail that's just been cut off. He's being tail capitated. Okay, let's put my glue back there. And you could add a little sentiment or something down the bottom, which would be nice. Maybe I'll try and find a little sentiment. My birdie's being very brave, so it's going to get a brave sentiment. Go. And then I just need to finish it off with a hole. I'm not going to bother putting a brad in. I'm just going to pop a hole in the middle-ish. Shall I put a brad in? Okay, let's put a brad in. I'm being lazy. And there's a brad, and I've got some of this hemp twine. So let's get some of that. Can get this from Amazon. There we go. That's nice and delicate. That's the first one finished. And let's have a look what else we've got here. So we've got this one. So this was the one I was going to draw in some definition. So I've got a Uniball Air Micro, so any type of black rollerball pen will do. If you're going to paint after you put the fine line on, then you'll need a waterproof one. But all I'm going to do is just go around and give them a little bit a better definition. So you don't have to go and follow the paint, you can just you can even give them a different shape to what you've painted. Kind of adds to that whimsical look. But the paint really does need to be dry before you do this. And I'm just going to lightly do the leaves. Yeah, so that adds just that bit of definition, and it's fun to do. Okay, again I have inked around the edge, and then on the back what I was going to do was, I've got a fussy cut of one of my flowers, so I was going to pop that there with a little bit of lace behind it. Let's see if I got enough lace here. There we go. I think I'll use my glue gun for this. I'll save faffing about. And I thought I'd leave the top blank so that somebody could journal on it. And this has already got a hole in, so I'm just going to make the hole a little bit bigger. I think I'll use my crocodile to do a small little hole. Okay, so that's that one finished. And what we got next? So this one, so we did that on one side, and then I just did some doodles on there, and I'm going to again just outline the flowers. Okay, so that's just a little one, and I just need to finish it off with a hole. I think I'll just keep on using my crocodile because it does give a neater hole than punching it with a awl. I think this one I'll use a little bit of jute twine if I can get that in. There we go. Another little one. Okay, so this one, so I did this one on camera. I need to just ink around it. So this is just watercolour paper, nothing else, and it's still sturdy enough. And then I just painted different colours on the other side. And what I thought I would do, if I can find some, have I got any fussy cuts? So I'm going to put that on this side, like that. Pop that on. Come on you come. Right, that's on. And I need to put a hole in here. just need to sand that a little. Yeah, it's a bit better. So that's that one. Okay, so we got 4 finished. This one is just a really little small one, and so this is on gesso, so you can see the difference. But it's a pretty little one. The only problem is when I put the hole in, it's going to go through the flower, but that's unavoidable. And I think on this one, what should we do? I think we'll have white on this one. Or no, I'll do a bulb pin, I think. So I think you could maybe do a little bit of fabric on the back, anything like that really with these. So that's that one. So this one, so I think I did this one on camera. So then I did another few little doodles, and then I did some more doodles on the inside. Now on the inside it's just card, and you can tell the layering it doesn't come out as clear as say here on the watercolour. You can see the layering a lot better. So I'm going to just give some definition to some of these. That's that. So it's going to be on the inside, but I thought, well, who knows what I'll do with this one. So I need to ink this one as well. So I just need to be careful I don't smudge those lines. So I think what will be nice then is if you could put some brads in there and some sort of dangles as well. So let's see what I've got. If I just put the holes in first. Now, full disclosure, I purchase my dangles unless they are the absolute basic things, which I have supplies for. But anything that is fancy, I buy from Etsy. Because I don't have the supplies, and I don't know, I don't have the, it's not so much patience. Oh, maybe it is patience. But there are people who can do it much nicer than me. So that's why I'm happy to pay for supplies like this. And they are pretty, so pretty. one. So I think that would look really pretty wrapped around a page on either side. So that is it. They are my ideas for this week's clothes tags. And I don't know why I've suddenly got the desire to do lots of clothes tags, but I've got so many, I mean, I've got boxes of clothes tags, so I just want to use them, and I want to create ephemera for the journals that I need to finish. So this is what's sort of occupying my mind when I'm thinking about things to do, and these are so lovely, and I just enjoy using up something and working with the shapes and the sizes that you're given with clothes tags. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and please do consider subscribing if you aren't already subscribed. There'll be far more fun with clothes tags coming very soon. I think I probably want to do something like this every couple of weeks because I'm just having so much fun with them. They're just yeah, I just love them, and I love watercolours as well. So this is a great way to actually practice your watercolours and add a personal touch to your junk journals. So I hope you've enjoyed. Please give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye for now.
What if the world had more of your smile? What if the wind could spread your love? What if your sweetness could reach everyone? There'd be no wars. Maybe the birds will sing about your heart. Maybe the trees will whisper the word. Maybe the sun will spread your joy to the ones who lost their hope. You fill my head with roses. I can't help but dream away, standing on a field with you and flowers everywhere. Maybe there is a star